Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress, and I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I think we need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it.
So welcome, everybody. So tonight we got a jam-packed show, and I just want to open with this. Ezekiel 34, 2-4. Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injuries. You have not brought back the strays, or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. Well, that's just an idea of what our government is doing to us right now. So we're going to dive into that. What happened today, actually the last 2 days with passing the budget, which didn't get passed, and they just put it off again till March 14th. But we're going to get started and all of that here real soon. So thank you for joining us, and we'll get started here in just a minute.
Welcome to Faith and Freedom Fridays, where we explore the godly way to vote with faith and integrity. Here are your hosts, LaTanya Evans and Kathy Ryan.
Hey, LaTanya, how are you? Merry Christmas.
Hi, Kathy. I'm good. Merry Christmas. We are festive.
Yes. Getting in the Christmas spirit. So
yes.
I pray that my voice holds out. I have been sick all week, and I've had laryngitis, and I talk too much and it goes out. So bear with me, guys, tonight, but we got a lot to go over. A lot happened. Some just, those politicians, old-time politicians, just don't get what happened November 5th. They just don't get it.
I know. Wow. This, and I know I'm going to be laying in some ways heavily upon you, Kathy, with this, because I even have my questions about some things. But this, oh, wow. Especially this 1,500. Who reads a 1,500 page document and then going to try to rush it through? We're going to dive into that, people, and to just let you know and bring you up to speed of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And we're not helpless. We can do something about it.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, and which leads me to the first clip. This gentleman, I don't know who he is. I found it on Twitter. Elon Musk said it explained everything that had happened. So what's been going on, if you guys haven't been paying attention to the news, Congress every year has to pass a budget. And every year for the last 27 years, they have been doing these continuing resolutions. So sometimes they're an omnibus or a minibus, or is what they're called, or it's just the plain continuing resolution, which actually it's really not, because it's a new bill. And what they do is the deadline to make some kind of resolution today on the budget is tonight at midnight. This is the deadline. So they do this every freaking year. And excuse me, because I'm really angry over this. And as this gentleman explains, every year the budget for the next year is supposed to be set and voted on in June. So they've been doing this since June, and they've been doing this the same way for the last 27 years. So what they do is they wait till the last minute. So they wrote this 1,500-page bill and gave it to the congressman late Tuesday afternoon to vote on early Wednesday morning.
Wow.
Now let me ask you, can you read a 1,500-page book?
No, I could barely, like, 100-page, yet alone a 1,500. Wow.
It was over 1,500 pages. And I have a picture. The picture, well, it was on the thumbnail. Let me show you this here. And as usual, computer not cooperating. Here we go. So I'm going to share my screen. And forgive me, there goes my voice.
It's okay.
So,
whoa.
So the bill, so this pile of papers on the left was the first bill. And Elon Musk came out and he spent, I think there was over 100 tweets and said, there's too much stuff in that bill that shouldn't be voted on now. They should be separate bills. And you guys are going to be outraged. One of the provisions in there was to give Congress a raise. Now, mind you, it was only 3.5% cost of living raise, but that put them from $173,000 a year to $240,000 a year. Now, I'm saying if you can't live on $173,000 a year for working 130 days a year, because that's all they're in session is 130 days.
130. What do they do the rest of the time?
Good question.
No, seriously. You don't know, Kathy? Like,
I personally, I don't know. I know that some of them have businesses to run because, being in government was never meant to be a full-time job.
But they have gotten smart at how to continue to work the system,
right,
that funds them their entire career. You know what? We need to go into for office.
Exactly.
What do you think, honey? Kathy? I mean, seriously.
No, yeah. And then the other thing that was in that bill was another provision that allowed them to expand on their federal health care, which is not the Affordable Care Act that they forced on us.
They forced
the
on
Obamacare,
people.
it is a much better health care plan than what we have, that we're forced to use, that increases our prices, where we can barely afford. I won't even get into it because I had to redo my insurance because it's the end of the year. And I don't know what happened in October because my income hasn't changed this year, but yet I went from paying one amount and in October it doubled my premium.
Wow.
I have been older. My birthday is in April. So it couldn't have been that, unless it took that long for them to catch up on me. And so they're going to charge me more because I'm older.
Right.
I don't know. But there was all kinds of other stuff that was just plain garbage. Then they wrote another bill. So the pile of papers next to it is 116 pages. And it still had a bunch of stuff in it that was not acceptable to everybody. And it got voted down.
Wow.
Yesterday. So, but I'm going to play this clip from this gentleman. Well, let me stop sharing my screen. And I'm only going to play part of it right now. Let me get it up here. Okay. Now he does a really good explanation on what's going on in Congress right now.
Bill, and it looks like we might be heading for a government shutdown. And in large part, this is due to the influence of Elon Musk. Now, depending on how you feel about Elon, you might view this as a positive or a negative thing. And in this video, I'm going to give you comprehensive context on what exactly is going on. And I'm also going to offer you my perspective on the influence of Elon, billionaires more generally, and the legislative process. First, here are the facts. Every year, Congress has from about February until October 1st to pass a bill for the following year. So this year in 2024, they were forming the budget for 2025. However, if they miss that October 1st deadline, then they form what's called a CR bill or continuing resolution bill. That bill is meant to be a temporary measure that maintains the prior year's levels of funding in order to prevent a government shutdown. And they need to pass that bill before December 20th, when all the Congress people go home for Christmas, in order to ensure that the government doesn't shut down. Now, the concept of a government shutdown sounds bad, but it's pretty common. There have been 21 government shutdowns in the last 50 years. And even during a government shutdown, essential services are still maintained, like the operation of our military or Social Security. So in this case, the CR bill typically would have just mimicked 2024 levels of funding for 2025. However, there's several things that make this year unique. First is its length. It's 1,547 pages long, and only 8 of them are actually CR bill. The rest of it is about supplemental funding and legislation. The second thing is that rather than just maintaining 2024 levels of funding, there's actually $100 billion extra.
Uh-oh. And one of those new bills, new legislation, was to cover the congressmen's butts in case they did anything illegal. It basically gave them immunity.
Wow.
That was in that 1,500-page bill. Now, why do you need that? Why do you need that?
So,
We'll
okay,
talk about
question.
that later. Okay,
Who
go ahead.
who comes up with this bill?
The budget committee.
Who comes up with what to put in there?
The committee, the budget committee. I think it's the Ways and Means. I forget which one, but it's one of the committees. And then they also include the Speaker of the House and the minority leader on the Democrat side.
Okay.
So, that's who comes up with it.
Allocated to this CR bill. Most of that $100 billion is for disaster relief, and that $100 billion constitutes a 6% increase over 2024's budget. Now, you might not have any issues with that, but what's raising hackles is the fact that most Congress people had less than 24 hours to read the entire 1,500-page bill. Most Congress people were given the bill on December 17th and expected to vote on it less than 24 hours later on December 18th. This is because both Democratic and Republican leadership in the House formed the bill but that process wasn't transparent to the rest of the Congress people. On top of all that, there were specific provisions in the bill that many people objected to, like, for example, the fact that it gave a pay increase to members of Congress. Now, it's worth noting that the pay increase is relatively modest, around 3%, and it's a cost of living increase. That said, many people objected to the fact that Congress people would be giving themselves a pay increase at all, given the state of the country and the fact that many people are struggling to get their bills paid. There's also the fact that the bill would allow Congress people to be exempt from Obamacare, even though the average American is not. Or the fact that the bill allocates funding for the Global Engagement Center, which many people have critiqued as a propaganda instrument and censorship instrument that has been used against the American people and now is getting even more funding. Now, I think it's fair to say that under normal circumstances, the vast majority of Americans would not have any idea what a CR bill is, or the fact that it's being passed, or the fact that it's 1,500 pages and Congress people are given less than 24 hours to read it. But what's unprecedented about this is that Elon Musk heard about it and started posting a lot about the whole situation on X. Because Elon has such a huge following, that caused many people to get into an uproar. And it caused many people to start pressuring their Congress people and calling their Congress people to have the CR bill not passed. And for the record, I called Representative Mike Johnson, who is the leader of the Republicans in the House, to express my personal disapproval for the manner in which the CR bill is being passed. And if you feel the same, I recommend that you take action by calling his office too.
So we'll just pause it right there. So that's what was going on in Congress today. Now, they did pass a bill here a few hours ago. It's 118 pages, and I have it here.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I have it here.
Like physically with you?
Right here on the screen.
Oh,
here
the
it is.
screen. Okay.
This is the bill that they just passed. So, and here are some of the things. Can you guys see it? Let me know if you can see it, because if not, I can expand it.
Can you? Yes. Can you enlarge it?
In the chat, can you see it?
There you go.
Okay. So
can you see it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to go through everything, but so basically a CR bill, if you're just going to keep everything that was going on right now and keep it until March 14th, when the new Congress can actually pass a budget, is, it's a 1 page continuing resolution. I hereby keep everything, the budget the way it is, and extend the budget to March 14th. That's all you need to say. That's it. But no. So they got to make it so complicated. So extension for community health centers, National Health Services Corps, and all that. It's already in the budget. So just continue the existing budget onto the next. Now, I've been on plenty of boards. Before I was on the Women's Council of Realtors, and I was a board member. That's all we did. If we didn't go into this big old long lavish language of junk to vote on something, it was simple. I move to continue on the current budget into March 14th, 2025. Pure and simple. But no, they got to go all into all this stuff. And we don't even know what it is. And some of it, sounds great, but really, what is it? So, here, extension of special diabetes programs, national health security extensions, extension of increased inpatient hospital payment adjustment for certain low volume hospitals, extension of the Medicare dependent hospital program. What are these things?
Wow.
of the work of geographic index floor. Huh? What is that?
Wow.
Okay, and then why do we need to be funding this stuff? Sexual risk avoidance education extension.
What? Sexual risk avoidance
Education.
So are you telling, okay, can you pause it for a second?
Yeah.
Are you telling me all these different sections like 32, 3301, 32, all this, are you telling me that money is allocated, they're funding all this? They want
Yes, ma'am.
all
Yes.
that. No wonder what really needs, what could be done for this country. You're kidding me.
And then I got another clip.
People, we have to wake up. We have to wake up and look at this.
There's
is
another
waste.
clip that I will show you that is really going to make your blood boil. So yeah, personal responsibility education. Why do we need the government to educate us on personal education, responsibility education? Why do we need somebody to do that? Why do we need the government to teach us that?
Exactly.
Extension of funding the family-to-family health information centers. What is that?
Wow.
Commodity Futures Trading Commission whistleblower program. Protection of certain facilities and assets from unnamed aircraft. Well, isn't that the Department of Defense? Isn't that the FAA? Additional special assessment. Special assessment of what? National Cybersecurity Protection System authorization. Okay. Extension of temporary order for fentanyl-related substances. This stuff is maddening. And look at this. $90 million, which is not less than $50 million, shall be for costs associated with the inauguration.
Wow.
To fund the inauguration, $90 million. Why does it need $90 million? Is that going to the Secret Service and the National Guard and all of that to make him to secure the site? But I thought that was already funded.
So all these different things. Okay, so these have costs put to them. Salaries and expenses, 16 million for an additional what? Emergency.
So this is for the FBI salaries. Okay. They need to get paid. National security needs to get paid.
Yes.
My son needs to get paid. The Department of Defense.
Yes. Of course.
Columbia-class submarine in the amount not to exceed $5 billion. What? For shipbuilding. Okay, so we're building a new sub. Okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. You want to put money to that?
I mean, anything with our national security, that's good.
They're building a whole bunch of submarines. Okay, I get that. It just floors me. Of all the stuff that just goes into all of that.
Wow. And this is the thing. Where are they getting all that money from?
It's our taxes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So how is it that we as taxpayers struggling, and yet look at what they're wasting the money on? See, that money should be going towards things that is going to, yes, benefit the country, like our national security, when it comes to the infrastructure, and when it comes to military, farmers, those things. But the other, that should be coming back benefiting the people.
Yeah. It should.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean it just, it's crazy. And I haven't listened to this to see what Mike Johnson had to say. So I'm going to play this. He did a press conference after the bill passed. So let's see what he has to say.
So, okay.
For a better bill. And that's what happened last night, plain and simple. But the other part of this story is House Speaker Mike Johnson. What happens to the Speaker now? Speaker Moses, if you will.
The Lord told me very clearly to prepare and be ready. Be ready for what? Okay, I don't know. We're coming to a Red Sea moment. What does that mean, Lord? And then when the Speaker
Okay, that's not what I thought it was.
race happened, and Kevin McCarthy, who's a dear friend of mine, was deposed, vacated from the chair. Oh, wow. Well, this is what the Lord may have been.
That's about him possibly getting ousted up over all this, which he should, because he did not. Yeah, he should. Because he sided with the Democrats. He sided with the rhinos. He sided with spending more money.
So, okay, so let me make sure I understand this. Bill got passed.
Yeah, a continuing resolution got passed.
Okay, now was that what they want to happen? I mean, kind of a middle ground. I mean, is this better than? I mean, I'm still not understanding.
I don't know if it's better than, because I haven't read the whole thing and don't know all of what's in it. I read you off a summary of some of those programs that they funded, and it's like, what are they?
So what is he saying? What is the guy saying now?
Well, he was supposed to do a press conference, and I thought that's what it was. Let me find it.
And what is Elon and what are they all saying?
It was just passed shortly before we came on, so I haven't looked.
Okay.
So I don't know. Okay, here he is on the interim bill. Okay, let's see what he has to say, and if he's going to keep his job.
For us, this is America First legislation because it allows us to be set up to deliver to the American people. In January, we will make a sea change in Washington. President Trump will return to D.C. and to the White House, and we will have Republican control of the Senate and the House. Things are going to be very different around here. This was a necessary step to bridge the gap, to put us into that moment where we can put our fingerprints on the final decisions on spending for 2025. We also, in this bill, as you know, took care of Americans who desperately needed and deserved the assistance. We had a record hurricane season. Hurricanes Helene and Milton in particular did dramatic damage across at least 6 states, the Carolinas, Virginia, from Florida, Tennessee, all the way through. And they have been waiting for the federal government to assist. We did that tonight in this bill. We also took care of our farmers, many of whom were on the brink of collapse because of Bidenomics, frankly, because the inflationary cost of their inputs and the inability they have right now to get loans from the banks and the lenders to put their crops in the ground, to put the seeds in the ground in the spring. So we had to take care of that, and we did. We are excited about this outcome tonight. We're grateful that everyone stood together to do the right thing. And having gotten this done now as the last order of business for the year, we are set up for a big and important new start in January. We can't wait to get to that point. We encourage swift passage in the Senate now. They need to do their job as the House just did. We will all go home. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, because I hope not to see you until we get back after that. I was in constant contact with President Trump throughout this process, spoke with him most recently about 45 minutes ago. He knew exactly what we were doing and why, and this is a good outcome for the country. I think he certainly is happy about this outcome as well. Elon Musk and I talked within about an hour ago, and we talked about the extraordinary challenges of this job. And I said, hey, you want to be Speaker of the House? I don't know. He said, this may be the hardest job in the world. I think it is. But we're going to get through this. We are going to unify this country, and we are going to bring the America First agenda to the people beginning in January. We cannot wait to get started. I hope you all have a great holiday.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News.
Okay, so then what do we have to say? Because I mean, it's kind of like being, from what I'm getting, okay, being Speaker of the House, I need to educate myself more and more. Faith and Freedom is helping me to educate myself on that. But I mean, on the one hand, I definitely hear what he's saying. We have to support our farmers. That's our food supply, food chain. That's just, we have to. And then the people who were ravished by the hurricanes. I think if I was in that place, I would want help. We have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So
I mean, there's some things in there. There are some things in there that, needed to be done. But what I'm saying is, instead of being all confusing, those provisions were already in the 2024 budget. So instead of going in there and confusing anything where they can sneak little sneaky things in, is what I'm saying. When you put out pages upon pages and you give somebody 30 minutes to read 118 pages, they're not going to do it. And so we don't know what sneaky things are in there. So if they had like that 1,500 page bill, the one guy said there was Vivek Ramaswamy, he said in reading that there were only 8 pages that pertain to the continuing resolution. 8 pages. So, that is one of the things that they started doing 27 years ago to get their agenda passed. And it's sneaky, it's calculating, it's wrong. Our government needs to be transparent, and they haven't been. And now with what Trump is putting in place, especially with DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and who he's going to be putting in the FBI and the DOJ, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, that I think a lot of these corrupt politicians are trying to do whatever they can to protect themselves, and they're running scared.
So let me ask this. In that bill, because as we saw, it was 1,500 down to 100. So a lot of things, it seems that they did get taken out. Did they get taken out the right? Did they take out the raise? Did they take out the thing about how they tried to have it where you couldn't look at their emails? Were that stuff taken out?
I don't know. As I said, it was passed just before we came on. I haven't read it. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know.
So we don't know what all got chiseled out down to 100 and
no. Skimming through this, I'll share my screen again.
okay.
I don't see. But then again, I'm not reading it word for word. I mean, right here, this is the defense, the Department of Defense. But let me go back up to there's a summary, but I don't trust the summary. So public health, human services, Medicaid, other matters. If you go by this, no, they didn't give themselves those things.
Okay, so those things, okay. Because I like what Trump said, where he was like, he don't want something he mentioned. He said they don't want it under his watch. This needs to happen up under Biden, so that, you know what I mean? Like, he don't want to inherit. So was that able to be accomplished?
No. He's going to inherit. He's going to inherit Biden's mess, because basically what he was saying is that because they haven't come to an agreement on a budget for 2025, because that was supposed to be done, and I misspoke. I said June. No, actually, it was supposed to be done by October 1st, and it wasn't. They've been doing continuing resolutions since October 1st.
Wow.
So, it's been a 30-day continuing resolution since then, but now it's more than 30 days and putting it into, Trump's camp and his White House and everything. And you better believe that things will get, changed. But one of the things is that they're allowing to raise the debt ceiling for the next 2 years. We're already at $36 trillion in debt. And every year it's another $2 trillion.
Wow.
And I'm going to pull up this clip from today. Let me find it. Because
exactly, yeah.
Because this is the other thing that's happening. This isn't exactly the beginning, but this will curl your toenails as well. Oh, I can't do it that way. I forgot. YouTube TV is kind of picky. There we go. Now you can see them.
Okay.
These things online. They don't make it transparent. They don't let us see this stuff. And that's by design, folks. This is like my new hobby at this point, bill watching. And this is going to be Doge for the next 4 years. It's like watching sports for me. I don't really watch sports ball. So this is it. Sit around, maybe read this whole bill, which I did with the new bill last night. Find a bunch of absolute trash, and we're just going to put it on blast here. I hope you're along for the ride. And if enough of us scream about it, by the way, for long enough, and enough of these people lose their seats, things will change. That's the only language they speak in D.C. By the way, they still get paid if the government shuts down. Remember that. They exempted themselves from everything else. But if you don't think it's a big deal, if you don't want to get involved, yeah, sure, your life might be easier, but your kids won't be. That's why I'm so passionate about this, because I want them to grow up in the same or better country than I got to. Joe Pags, host of the Joe Pags Show, my man, this is just utter debauchery.
Well, it is. When you showed Congressman Neal complaining that Congress couldn't do its will because there was a tweet. Well, hello, Twitter or X literally shut down that piece of garbage, 1,500-page lunacy the other day. And it wasn't just Elon Musk. It was all of us. The people were heard. And Mike Johnson went, oh, man, maybe I shouldn't have just met with Hakeem Jeffries to get this done. Maybe I should have listened to the people. Then Jasmine Crockett, who's from the great state of Texas, where I am. I have no idea how Fort Worth elected this person. I have no clue. But she derided yesterday Republicans for over the past 2 years not passing enough bills. Carl, maybe I'm the crazy one, but the people don't want more regulation, more bills, more money spent. No. We literally love the fact that we pass fewer bills. Why can't this CR be one page that says continue spending at the current pace until March 10th and do the $110 billion separately, like you said? Yeah. Why is that so hard to do? I don't understand it.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought up the one-page issue, because the Democrats, they continue to throw this absolute lie around that, oh, it was Republicans that held up cancer research like this. Roll this.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown that will crash the economy and hurt working-class Americans because they would rather enact massive tax cuts for their billionaire donors than fund cancer research for children.
Okay, so let's break this down. In reality, he's talking about cancer research for children. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has been holding this standalone bill on funding for pediatric cancer research since March. Shut up, Hakeem.
It's as if they don't understand that we're smart enough now to realize when they're lying to us. They lie with such ease, they think they're still getting over on us. But as Kamala Harris said very eloquently, don't fall for the okie doke. The fact is, we just saw was a man lying to the faces of people who are watching your show and listen to me. And Crockett and he both said something about the TSA is going to shut down. No, it's not. A government shutdown at this point.
I went through security the other day, like a year ago, with a 15-round loaded magazine that I forgot about in my thing. Nobody caught me on the way there or the way back. I got home and unpacked and it was in there.
Well, you're not a 95-year-old woman in a wheelchair. Those are the ones that get harassed. But at the end of the day, if you do a government shutdown, it shuts down 1/3 of the government. You can't go to the Washington Monument. 2/3 of the government continues. And once it opens again, everything is retroactive. Carl, we right now, those watching, those listening, those on Twitter, my God, don't do a tweet. We all need to stand together and say, shut it down or give us one page. Those are your choices. You don't have the power. We do. You think you have the power. We just proved that we do. And yeah, Elon Musk, who is Citizen X out there, and I'm sure he likes being called that, is a guy who's got the same voice as you and as I do and as everybody else who went and voted. And we voted to make them understand we're the boss.
Yeah, but the other thing is now that they're up against, by the way, they created this deadline. I talked about this the other day. They created this deadline. Now they're up against it. And instead of being thoughtful, they're just trying to piece something together. It's like throwing crap at a wall and trying to make it stick without anybody knowing what's in it. Why don't you know what, like, this is the message from Tuesday that they should have understood. Give us the bill so we can read it too, because if you pass it and it's junk, we're going to be even more mad.
But you got to love that Mike Johnson came out and said it's a CR. It's not a minibus. It's not an omnibus. It's 1,527 pages of a CR. It's not a clean CR. Listen, the definition of continuing resolution is clean. You're just continuing where you are now. Let's reassess it when the new president and new Congress comes in. Listen, I like Mike Johnson. Seems like a nice guy. He is all wet on this, and he's got to get in line. He could be on the private jet with Elon and with President Trump and go see UFC if he wants. But at the end of the day, his job is to dig in, because you and all the people that watch and listen to you and all the people who watch and listen to me want it that way. Mike, we gave you the gavel. Do something with it now. What he did the other day was shameful. What they're still doing is shameful. But Carl, one page. I'm just going to tweet it. 1 page.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
No, it should be. And like you said, sure, Mike Johnson might be like a great neighbor if I need to borrow a rake, but he's not cutting it as Speaker out of the House. And the other problem is, time and time again, we're telling him these things, and they, instead of saying, oh, you know what, let me try that, guys. It's, let me explain to you why you tax-paying peon are a moron.
And let me go check with Hakeem. What is he doing?
Yeah, who cares?
I don't, exactly right. Hakeem is going to walk out and lie about what's in there anyway if it's not exactly what he wants. Listen, the whole meeting with the left didn't make any sense. Do this, cram it through. You've got the majority. If Schumer says no, he shuts it down. If Biden says no, he shuts it down. It's not on the Republicans. We elected you for a reason. Let Trump and the new Congress do this after the first of the year. Enough is enough.
100%. Like, I really don't care. Like, they shouldn't even talk to the Democrats. They should just do the spending bill as they were elected to do, as they promised to do.
Period.
Exactly. Period. Full stop. Joe Pags, my man. Appreciate it, sir. Have a great weekend.
Merry Christmas, brother.
You too. We say Merry Christmas.
So, yeah. Well, the other thing too, and there's a little bit further, but basically, there were programs that were upgraded years ago, like in 2007, 2010, that are still being funded, even though there was another program that was better to replace itself. So they're funding the new program and the old program. And you wonder why we're so mad and everything's so bloated. You're muted, LaTanya.
I was just looking to see any new information, since this just happened about the speaker. Yes.
Was there anything new?
Well, House Speaker Mike Johnson could be in big trouble. I don't know what that really means. That was just one day ago when that was mentioned. So
that means that he's going to be ousted as speaker. He's not going to be speaker the next session.
But what it's like, I don't know, because he got to know that they're going to come out and say something. But he's saying, and I don't understand, it kind of looks like he got a smile or a smirk on his face. He said, I spoke with Trump and Elon 36 minutes ago. So what's that supposed to mean? That they approve?
Well, I know that Trump approved one of them. He just wanted it passed so they could deal with it.
Who? You mean President Trump?
Yeah.
So you think
not the 1,500 page one? The
okay,
second.
So the second one, you think that they don't like it, but compared to the 1,500, and because that was scary, they could have, getting that pushed through. So
there was a lot of garbage in that one.
So they actually got a good accomplishment from 1,500 to just 100 and some page.
But they still voted down the 116 page one. The Democrats did.
Okay.
So it's like, why?
So what got passed? So it didn't get passed?
No, the 116 page one didn't get passed yesterday. The 118 page, the one that I showed you, got passed.
So there were two things, I guess, left off, 16, 18.
Well, no, it grew because it went from 116 to 118. So something's in there that I'm not catching. I'm not seeing. So yeah, it's not good. But
but I guess I'm looking at 1,500. What was that? How many? 1,500?
1,547 pages.
Oh, 1,500 down to 100. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but it's still not right.
I agree.
As he said, what Joe Peg said, it should be just one page continuing resolution to extend what the budget is right now through March 14th.
Right.
That's what it should have been, and not, adding all this other stuff, because, all those programs and stuff, we don't know if they're existing programs.
Yes. Some of that stuff I'm like, I've never heard.
Me neither. And again, I'm looking at, why does there need to be a program for personal responsibility education?
Personal responsibility of education.
Yeah. Not of education. In other words, they got to educate me on how to take personal responsibility.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what that is. Where did it go?
So does anyone in the comment section, do you have a question? Remember to put the letter Q in front of your question if you have one.
Okay. So that's what ChatGPT says. I will share my screen and we'll find out together.
That sounds good.
Here we go.
Okay.
Personal responsibility education extension in HR 10545 refers to continuing funding. I know that. That's not what I want to know. What is this personal responsibility education program the federal government is funding?
It's what?
What is it? I'm asking what it is. ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
The Personal Responsibility Education Program is a federally funded initiative aimed at addressing the sexual health education needs of adolescents. It was established under the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, and then they add these other goofy programs to prevent teen pregnancy, STIs.
Wow.
Adulthood preparation. PrEP includes topics beyond sexual health to help young people transition to adulthood successfully. Yeah, you're doing a bang-up job.
Exactly.
Healthy relationships, adolescent development, financial literacy, education and career success, healthy life skills. Well, aren't the parents supposed to be teaching their children how to be good adults?
Yes.
So here it is, the government taking over, trying to indoctrinate our children in what they want to, and we're funding it.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just getting madder and madder and madder. So, I got this really interesting video from John Stossel.
Okay.
And what would have happened if the government shut down?
If the government
Well, it's still a possibility because the Senate hasn't passed it yet. I haven't heard. Have you heard of the Senate pass that bill?
Yeah.
They haven't passed it yet.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean everything shuts down.
No, I know that, Ted. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay. So if for some reason they can't come to a resolution, this is actually what happens if the government does shut down.
The government shutdown continues longer than any in history. I'm told this is a crisis.
Government shutdown crisis.
Another Trump-generated crisis.
This crisis. It's causing chaos, confusion, pain. It's just too much, say the Washington Post and New York Times. But wait a second. Looking around America. I have to ask, where's that crisis? Most everything seems pretty normal.
How's everything today?
Life goes on. Pundits speak as if government's the most important part of America. But it isn't. We need some government, but most of life, the best of it, goes on without government. Much of it in spite of government. Of course, you're one of the 800,000 federal workers who aren't being paid. The shutdown is a big deal.
Are you freaking kidding me again? Seriously?
Pay the workers! The furloughed workers get a lot of attention.
They're not getting paid.
But they will get paid. They always do after shutdown. Don't get me wrong, the shutdown's a real problem. Columnist Paul Krugman giggles about it being Trump's big libertarian experiment. But it's not libertarian. Government's endless rules are still in effect, and soon workers will be paid for not working. This is a most unlibertarian experiment. But there are lessons to be learned. Under President Obama's shutdown, government officials wouldn't allow people to enter public parks.
The National Park Service is blocking access to parks and monuments.
This shutdown, the administration's allowing people in parks. So PBS finds a new crisis, too much garbage.
National Park Services can't clean up the mess until Congress and the president reach a spending deal.
But now volunteers sometimes pick up the trash. Private citizens will step in to do some things government workers used to do. The Washington Post finds another problem. Farmers aren't receiving government support checks. But why do farmers even get support checks? The purpose of the subsidy was to protect the food supply, but most fruit and vegetable farmers don't get subsidies, and they do fine. There's no shortage of tangerines, pears, or broccoli. Grain, cotton, and corn farmers could suck it up and do fine too. Much of government we could just get rid of. The New York Times says shutdown curtails FDA food inspection. Oh no, we'll be poisoned. But if you read the smaller print, you'd learn that 80% of food inspection is done by the Agriculture Department, and they're still inspecting. But more important, the main reason food is safe is not government, it's competition. Fear of getting a bad reputation inspires most food producers to employ more safety inspectors than government requires. Beef carcasses undergo hot steam rinses and microbiological testing that go well beyond what government demands. Yet politicians want us to think it's all about government. Where government work is needed, privatize much of it. Even security work, like what the TSA does, is done better by the private sector. Go to San Francisco's airport, you'll notice the lines are shorter and they move more quickly. And passengers say the screeners are nicer.
People here are friendly and willing to help.
Not only are they nicer, the TSA acknowledged that they were better at finding contraband. That's because they're private contractors. They have to be better or they might get fired. Government never fires itself.
We shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute, and you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
Finally, it's absurd that this shutdown is supposedly about appropriating $5.7 billion for part of a border wall. That's less than what Washington spends every day.
$54 billion increase in the defense budget.
Well, the Senate has passed the Farm Bill, a multi-billion-dollar legislative package.
Our debt will soon reach $22 trillion. Government squanders money on useless things.
They spent $300,000 studying whether Japanese quail are more sexually promiscuous on cocaine.
So when government workers protest and say, we are all essential.
We all are essential.
I say, give us a break.
Wow.
The world's not going to come to the end, and it's not going to happen. You know, the media, and it depends on who you watch, again, is, you know, CNN and MSNBC. The world's coming to the end because they can't, you know, pass their bill that they want. You know, look at what Pete Jeffrey said. Oh, we're not funding cancer research, pediatric cancer research. That bill's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk since what, February?
Wow.
Come on. It's lies, 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 and more lies. And we've had enough. So that leads me, unless there's any questions, it leads me to our last clip.
Let me see. I don't see any questions. No, I don't see any.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so what we can do about it, we're going to go back to this gentleman who explained what had happened, what was happening, and he does it very well. And he's going to let us know what we can do.
Okay.
Elon and many people were objecting to is the manner in which the CR bill was being passed, the contents of the CR bill, and the timeline for the CR bill being passed as well. And the CR bill did have bipartisan support from leadership of the Democrats and the Republican Party. Now, that leadership has argued that this is a bipartisan bill, and the $100 billion extra is needed for disaster relief that the American people have wanted for months. But I would argue, if that's the case, pass disaster relief as a separate bill, rather than making it part of a 1,500-page behemoth that none of you are even actually reading. And regardless, this is just a fundamentally broken process. We have politicians using money that is not theirs to give themselves pay raises and paying for things that they haven't even read, using our money on things that we can't afford. Now, some people have objected to Elon Musk's influence, particularly Democrats. And to that, I'd respond with three things. One, on the partisan angle, there's actually a 2-to-1 ratio of Democratic donors to Republican donors who are billionaires. In fact, in the 2024 election, the Kamala campaign had $1 billion that they spent, whereas the Trump campaign had $400 million. But partisanship aside, Elon is actually quite unique in that we can actually see the influence that he's having in large part. Because in this particular case, his influence was simply using his voice and amplifying it to his large audience. And in reality, it was not just Elon saying that he opposes this, it was the people agreeing that they also oppose the CR process as well. Now, I think it's reasonable to be skeptical of anyone's influence, billionaire or not. And Elon certainly has a lot of influence, and some of it we can't see and is not transparent. But in this particular case, we can see exactly what he was standing for. And his individual voice only helped amplify the voices of millions of people who disagreed with this entire dysfunctional process. Now, on the flip side, do we get to see any of the influence of George Soros or Bill Gates or many of these Democratic mega donors or Republican mega donors for that matter on the democratic process? But all of that aside, I think this is actually a tremendously positive development for all of America. So many of us have become disillusioned with politics because we feel like politicians don't have our best interests in mind, and we feel like no matter who's in office, nothing seems to change. But what's changed this time is that we have a degree of transparency and a public square in X where we can actually speak up and we can actually be listened to if enough of us actually exercise our power as a people. I mean, look at what happened. Elon Musk lit his watchtower, and then the rest of us did as well. And as a result of that public pressure, our elected representatives heard our voice, realized that we're watching, and realized that they could not engage in this dysfunctional process and waste our tax money because they didn't have their shit together. We made it clear to our elected representatives what we actually want done with our money, and they responded. I mean, if that's not democratic principles in action, I don't know what is. The reason we felt so disempowered about American politics for so long is because for so long, the government has operated in secrecy. And when there's secrecy, the government has power over the people. But when there's transparency, the people have power over the government. And this bodes extremely well for the success of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, for the next 4 years. Because now that we've seen that when we have transparency, the voice of the people actually matters, imagine what's going to happen when there's a dedicated department that is focused on bringing transparency to the people so that we can call out abuses of power and make sure that our money is responsibly spent. So are there things to watch out for with the influence of billionaires more generally? Of course. Are there things to watch out for with the influence of Elon Musk in particular? Of course. But at least we can see what he's doing. And in this case, I think what he's doing is a good thing. Congress failed to...
So the Constitution says a government for the people and by the people. We, the people, are the government. Not the government is not over us. We're over them. And we set a reminder on November 5th that we, the people, had enough, and we demand a better government and a more transparent government. And we were heard. 77 million Americans were heard. Now, the other small portion of that, either they're still got blinders on and don't understand what's happening, or they truly believe that government is supposed to take care of us, which we need to pray for them, because that's not right. We are to we have a voice. God gave us a voice for a reason. And he also has many examples in the Bible of how we are to be in government. We are to pray for our leaders. We are supposed to respect the office no matter who's in there.
Right.
But we have something pretty special here in the United States. We have freedom of speech.
Yes.
And collectively, as we speak, it's like the roar of a lion.
Wow.
And that's what happened. And Elon the other day, he started it with those 100 tweets over that bill.
Wow. He got 100 tweets.
He tweeted out 100 times over that bill, 100 different tweets over that bill. And then the rest of us on Twitter started speaking up. And so the amazing thing about Twitter is it's free speech now. You're not going to get censored. You're not going to get canceled like it was before. And we can tag our Congress people and our senators in them to make it known, this is what we want.
Right. Wow.
Are you speechless?
I mean, it's like the more I'm finding out how things are operated, I'm in awe, in the sense that I'm like, how were they able to get away with this?
Because we were asleep, like that opening scripture that I read. You know, we've been treated like sheep.
Right.
With shepherds that didn't care.
Yeah.
And we have to care. And you know, we the people have been asleep. You know, we've been in a stupor. We're just let the government do whatever they want, and this is the result of it.
Now yes.
The sad thing is it's not going to change overnight. You know, Trump can only do so much. And it's got to continue. And we had talked about this before, that it isn't changing the government, it's changing the culture. Because as the culture changes, then the government will change. And then we'll be electing quality leaders to represent us. Because if we just stay silent and keep this culture going, we're going to have the same thing we have right now. And, you know, after Trump's out of office. And I know we're changing because Disney just came out and said that they're canceling one of the new series that they were coming out with. They were canceling the storyline of a transgender character.
What?
Well, Disney
they were about to.
Disney for the, you know, past few years has been adding you know, woke characters, you know, binary characters, transgender, gay characters in their storylines. And there was even a same-sex kiss in the last Light Buzz-Year movie, which bombed because nobody would take their kids to it.
What?
Yeah.
What part?
I don't know what part because I didn't watch it. I have totally cut off Disney. We don't watch Disney anymore.
Wow.
And then, you know, it started to take effect. What was it, last year? The last Indiana Jones movie came out the same weekend as Sound of Freedom, which was by Angel Studios, and it was about the child trafficking.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Movie. And if you guys haven't seen that movie, you need to see it.
And what's the name of it?
Sound of Freedom.
Oh, I keep saying I'm going to watch it, and then I keep putting it off. So I'm thinking this Christmas break, should I look at, I mean, is it a really good movie?
It's a good movie. It's heartbreaking, and it'll just tear your heart out and enrage you of what's happening to these kids. It's a true story.
It's a true story?
It's a true story. So Sound of Freedom came out the same weekend as the Indiana Jones movie, and Sound of Freedom beat Indiana Jones hands down as the #1 movie.
Really? Oh, wow.
So, you know, we also need to, not only do we need our voices, but we need to fight with our dollars. And I'm not saying donating. What I'm saying is where you shop, what movies you see, the things, you know, things that you do and you support. It makes a difference. So, you know, we totally cut off Disney. Now Disney is paying attention, and they cut out in their new series the transgender character that they had in it. They rewrote it so that character's not in it.
Wow.
So we're having an impact by doing that. Target has done away with their DEI department.
Wow.
And Walmart, you know, that came out, Walmart. So all these companies,
they're falling in line.
Yeah. It took us, you know, 77 million of us voting for Trump again for them to pay attention, because just hitting them in their pocketbook, I guess, was not not enough sign for them to really understand what was going on. But when, 77 million Americans vote for mean tweets and a bully,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, the presence of him coming into office, and look how the world has changed.
Right.
Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is about ready to get ousted. And he is as woke as they can be. That man is evil.
I
He's
know
crazy.
everybody is talking about Gavin Newsom.
He's another one. I just heard today that yesterday he put us in a state of emergency. For what? Because of the bird flu, because there was a case of the bird flu in Louisiana.
I heard about that, but I didn't know, like.
It's like, you're going to try to lock me down again? No way. I'm not wearing a mask. You're not locking me down. I mean, I know that real estate, we were still essential. We still could work. But you're not doing that. I mean, they put us through hoops so we could work. I mean, it was crazy. We had to do video showings. We had to get all this paperwork signed. We had to have all this PPE at the entries of the doors. I mean, it was just utterly ridiculous.
Wow.
Utterly ridiculous. And it's like, you think you're gonna do that again? There will be a major revolt here in California. I can guarantee it.
Wow.
And they only do that to expand the powers. And I don't think it really was because of the bird flu. I think it was, he thinks he's going to get away with it to prevent Trump from deporting these immigrants, these illegal immigrants.
Right.
And I think that it's just a ploy to do that. And he thinks that, if he does that, he'll have a good brownie point for running for president. I don't know. He's insane too. He needs to be recalled. We got 2 more years of him.
Wow. Now, who is he? For the people who don't know.
Gavin Newsom?
Yes. I mean, I mean, what you was going to, I don't know.
He's the governor of California.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just thinking Gavin Newsom. And how is that going to work then if Kamala runs?
Kamala's already failing.
She is?
Yeah, she's done. She just doesn't think she's done. She's like the devil. The devil, keeps trying, but he's already lost.
Yes, I like that. Whew.
Too stupid and keeps trying.
Because they're saying that some of her handlers are saying how she should run again for presidency.
After losing and being in the hole for $2 million, do you think anybody's going to donate to her campaign?
I mean, well gosh, it was like $1 billion, wasn't it? In the billions?
They spent $1 billion on the campaign. But the thing is she was 20 million in the hole.
Okay.
So she spent more than that billion. And her campaign donors are mad. Because she spent all this money. I mean, she spent $5,000 to get her nails done.
How did this come out? Where is there a report that breaks that $5,000 to get nails done?
Yeah. Besides paying all those celebrities to speak.
We know about that one, but that's just, oh my goodness.
It's crazy, huh?
A waste. Absolutely, Chris. A waste.
Mm-hmm. And then, she ran commercials ads in the state of Florida where she knew she couldn't even win, but she did it to spend the money, to get the money.
It's almost like the money was used so that she could maybe buy her way or influence her
Exactly.
way.
And that's what's been happening is George Soros, that billionaire,
Yes.
He's been funding all these, these socialist people's campaigns, and, the DAs, he's funding their campaigns and they've been winning. But the American people now have woken up and can see that I don't care how much money you spend. I'm not voting for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Right there, that makes me think I wanted to share this because this was something that it was, I think it was a news person, but it was on a channel. And the person said, what makes Trump so dangerous? They said three things. If a person, and of course they were talking about Trump, but they were like, this could be across the board. Three things. One, you need to look a good looking person. When you are a good looking person, they can entice you with women because they said a good looking guy, he most likely is going to have beautiful women already or capable or able to with that. Number two, they said he was rich, had money. A lot of some of the people who came in, not that they weren't doing bad, but they were not rich with millions. And they said with Trump, he had money. So he came in. I remember when he mentioned he would only take $1 for his salary. I remember when he said that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's two. And then number three, he was already famous.
Right.
A lot of the celebrities and other people. So it's like for him, it's like it's not going to work.
You can't be bought. And that's what scares him. He can't, the special interests cannot buy him, but they can buy the average person. So, yeah. And that's what makes him dangerous to the swamp. And he will drain the swamp. These people are being exposed. Just think if Trump had actually been in office in the 2020 election, and I still say he won, but if Biden hadn't been inaugurated and put in office, none of this stuff would have come out. It's like God used it to reveal a lot. We wouldn't even know.
The agenda. Yeah.
And he used COVID, the lockdowns and COVIDs, for us to pay attention.
Woo.
Because again, if we weren't locked down, we wouldn't have been paying attention. Parents wouldn't even know what their kids are being taught.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really sure until Matthew started being homeschooled his last 2 years in high school. And I'm like, no, especially history. It's like, no. You go on, I'll do it. I'll pass the class for you.
Yeah.
And I even got answers that I knew were right, wrong.
Wow.
Yeah. So they tried to rewrite history. They're trying to do all this stuff, and a lot of things have to change. And I think Doge is going to be great. I mean, they don't have the authority to cut off these programs and stuff, but they're there to advise Trump on what to do, which programs work and which aren't. Get rid of the pork barrel politics. We don't want it. And that's right. It's a waste.
Wow. I agree. I like this. We need donations to help families and their babies.
Well, and that brings up the question again, and it was brought up by Pastor Sean, is ever since, and I would say it would be 1957 in the Johnson Act, when churches, pastors became afraid of the government and speaking up on certain issues and social issues and stuff like that. They were afraid of losing their tax exemption for money.
Right.
Which, it's like, okay, well, isn't God going to provide anyway? Why are you trusting the government? Why are you relying on the government and you're not relying on God for provision? Is that now the government has become where people rely on for help instead of the church.
We talked about that, how it's like an indictment on the church, because a lot of these programs, a lot of these things, the church is supposed to be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Or should be.
Oh, and that reminds me, I got one more clip. And this is kind of a funny one. I mean, it's not funny, but it's what the media is talking about, because now that Elon has brought up all of this stuff, they're calling, the left is calling him President Musk.
Oh wow, I didn't know they went that far.
Yeah, they went that far. Where is it? Where did it go? Oh, it's on X. Okay. I didn't mark it, so let me go. Oh, okay. Where is it? Where's my bookmarks?
Let's see. Yes, Chris.
Oh, so The View had a meltdown today, or was it yesterday?
Oh, they did.
It's yesterday. Yeah. So The View had a meltdown yesterday. Over what Musk did and all his tweets. So this is what they think.
Who is in charge? Because I've been saying it for a while.
Yes, you have.
I've been saying that I think Elon Musk believes he's president. I do.
Well, you can call him vice president.
I've called him vice president. I called him president because I don't know what JD is doing. I hardly ever say. I don't remember the last time we even talked about JD.
You're right. He's planning the presidency when they get rid of Trump.
So you think it's Musk Vance?
Possible.
Hey, you know who? Stay away from the stairways. Because, people put the leg out to trip you going down the stairs. Watch out.
So Whoopi alluded that they were going to take out Trump so Elon Musk can be president and JD Vance will be his vice president. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, and he's not the only one that said it. There's another senator who said it. And I keep on, Trump calls her Pocahontas. And I keep forgetting her name.
Oh my gosh. It was Elizabeth
Warren.
There Elizabeth Warren, yes.
Yeah,
she
said the same thing. She said the same thing on CNN. Was it? Yeah, it was yesterday over the tweets. And it's like, really? No. I mean, they talk about, who's running the country. And, well, we can ask the same thing of Biden. Who's running the country now?
Who's running the country now? That's right.
You know, is it Obama? They're saying that it's his third term. So, and you brought up a question earlier, and I think
I did.
I think we'll end with this.
Yes.
So what's your question?
So my question was, so one of the things that got brought up was, well, where's JD Vance? Why isn't that JD Vance is with Trump?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I even thought that for a moment. Like, you know, I'm like, I mean, even like for the Christmas Margot thing, you know, Trump, I mean, not, he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
JD Vance wasn't there for that at Mar-a-Lago and other things. And so for a moment there, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, either someone's maybe adding or they taking away or they not understanding it. But yeah. So can you talk about that part? I was like, well, I haven't seen him in a while, but I wasn't thinking anything, you know. So what is your thoughts?
So the main reason that Vance is not at any event with Trump after the election, because they're, you know, president-elect and vice president-elect, is because they will, from now on, they will not be at the same event together. They will not fly on the same plane. The only time that they will be together is at the White House. And generally, I mean, there's some incidents where they may be together, but most of the time they are not at the same event. And the reason being is if there was like the attempted assassination, or if there was attack at Mar-a-Lago, or attack wherever JD Vance was, if the president was taken out and JD Vance was at the same time there, he could be killed too. So you had nobody to take the office if something happened to the president. Then the next in line would be the Speaker of the House. But that's the reason that they do not travel together any longer, or at the same event any longer.
Wow. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's you know, for protection.
And I think they know it. I think they know it, but it's just to inflate things. You know, I mean, you know, I think they know that. I mean, come on. You know, they got to know that, duh.
Yeah. No, they got to find every little thing to make propaganda's news.
Yeah.
What?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. The bill passed
through the Senate. It passed through the Senate.
I think, yeah. The way he was talking, it was one of the Congress people from Missouri or something, Republican, and he voted against it. And he said it still had $100 billion.
Yeah, I know. I was
bullshit.
It's got garbage in it. So the bill passed the Senate.
It passed?
What I can hear.
Yeah, it passed. So.
Okay, but I thought.
Yeah. So.
116 pages.
118.
18 pages.
Okay, so it passed.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find anything. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Does it say it on there?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I'll listen some more, make sure if I can hear it. But the way he was talking, it seemed like it passed.
Okay. Is this from earlier? Now?
Yeah, I think. Oh. Oh, here's another Pence.
Nothing's happening. Why is this like? Why is
All the processes comes to the Senate, and we never even have a hearing. We're going to have a vote later today for a $200 billion rating of the Social Security Trust Fund that is going to bring insolvency forward from 9 years to 8.5 years.
Okay, let's find it. House passes new defense bill. That was yesterday. Sends it to the Senate. I don't know. Let me do some more research on here. Oh, goodness.
I'll be off for the next week or so. And
I don't know.
Well, thank you for your support.
Welcome to the Right Squad. Tonight, Democrats and some Republicans are parroting the same talking point that Elon Musk will be.
Okay.
Donald Trump's shadow president in the history of the country.
Or I have a confession to make.
Meeting at Barack Obama's multi-million-dollar.
Did go strongly against the Catholic Church in many.
Each night, watch Newsmax for great shows with Greta Van Susteren.
I don't know. Doesn't say. So that's not it. Okay. Did HR 10-545 pass in the Senate today? No, it hasn't passed yet.
Oh, it hasn't. So what was that whole speech about?
Oh, he was just probably going on about earlier.
Okay.
So anyway, we don't know if the government's going to shut down tonight or not. So stay tuned.
So what was it that when he came out, I'm when he was like, see you at Christmas and all that, what is he saying about that? So what did
Well, that was another show. That had nothing to do with anything. That was just Greg Kelly. That was just a news host.
So he wasn't commenting on.
No, he wasn't commenting on anything. He was just letting people know that he wasn't going to be on the show for the next week. Yeah.
What? So he
the news host that you heard that
the one that you played where he was saying about he spoke with Elon, he spoke with Donald.
Oh, that was just reiterating what we've already gone over. Oh, Mike Johnson. Yeah, he was talking about Mike Johnson.
So that had nothing.
No, it was just reiterating what we've already gone over. So I Googled it, and there's nothing on the top stories that it says that the House passed, but not now it goes to the Senate.
Okay, so it passed, so now it's going to this. So there.
Yeah. So what happens is now that the House has passed that bill, it goes to the Senate to be voted on. If it passes the Senate, then it goes to Biden, and Biden's got to sign it.
Well, we know Biden's going to.
But is Biden awake to sign it? Because in Washington D.C. it is what, 10:20?
Yeah, is it? I mean,
yeah, it's
what time are they? So they're on Eastern time.
Yeah, they're Eastern time.
Okay. So I guess
they got until midnight.
And what happens if they don't pass it by midnight?
The government shuts down.
It shuts down. And what, they go on vacation?
Yep.
Like that? Or
yep.
And then okay, so if that happens and it gets shut down, then they're not coming back until next year, right?
Yeah, until the new year. So they'll be back. Let's see. What is it? Let me see a calendar.
Let's see.
So they'll be back on the 6th. Probably on the 6th. Yeah, they'll be back on January 6th, where they vote in Congress. The Electoral College votes to officially. Then that's when officially Trump is voted president. It's not inaugurated, but that's to count the votes, the electoral votes.
Okay.
Shireen, the reason that they're shutting down is because today is the deadline to pass the budget for 2025, which they have not done. So they voted on a continuing resolution bill to keep the government running until March. And it passed the House. This is the third bill. The first bill was 1,500 pages. The second bill was 116, and both of those got voted down. This one is 118. Excuse me, 118 pages. It got voted in, but it still got garbage in it, and a lot of garbage in it. And so now the House has passed it. It has to go to the Senate to be voted on. And if it gets shot down in the Senate, which I doubt it, then the government shuts down. If they pass it, the government won't shut down. I hope I explained it in a nutshell. I'm losing my voice again. Sorry,
gosh, take a break. Sorry. Oh boy. I'm just trying to just kind of check to see. Wow. So I was actually thinking that, well, so if it doesn't pass, what about the farmers and all of that, they're not going to get their money?
Only a few farmers. They make it out to be this big, huge thing.
So it's not like the way he's making it sound like catastrophic.
No. They're doing their debate on it right now. Here, let me.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh boy. Speaker Rock. Oh no, that's okay.
Let's see, 30 minutes on the equally divided, and that upon the use or yielding back of the time, the Senate vote on passage of the bill, with 60 affirmative votes required for passage and with no amendments or motions in order in the bill. Further, that following the disposition of H.R. 10545, the Senate resume executive session to consider the following nominations on block, calendars 851, 853, 854, 857. That the Senate vote on the nominations on block without intervening action or debate, that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, and that the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action. Following that, there be up to 2 minutes debate, equally divided prior to each vote, with all further intervening action, without further intervening action or debate.
Is there objection? Without objection.
I yield, absence of a quorum. I yield the floor, note the absence of a quorum.
Ms. Baldwin.
There isn't enough senators there for a quorum.
I know. I'm just like, it looks pretty empty. Now, who are all these empty people? Are they mostly, do we know who?
Nope. But, there's senators that haven't arrived yet. So.
Wow.
President.
Majority Leader.
I have very good news for my colleagues and for the country. I wish and ask unanimous consent.
Objection.
I have very good news for my colleagues and for the country. Democrats and Republicans have just reached an agreement that will allow us to pass the CR tonight before the midnight deadline. I yield the floor.
Okay.
Call for, and note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.
These guys are. The senator from Kentucky.
Ask unanimous consent to vitiate the quorum call.
Without objection.
I call.
Under the previous order, the Senate will resume legislative session.
I call up my amendment 3346 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report the amendment number.
The senator from Kentucky, Mr. Paul, proposes an amendment number 3346.
So if they add to the bill, it has to go back to the House to be voted on again.
If they add to it?
Yeah.
Without objection. The question is on the amendment.
So Senator Rand Paul.
Is there a sufficient second?
As
there appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett.
Wants an amendment made to it.
Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Booker. Do you guys want to vote?
Nobody's there.
I know. That's why I was like, look how empty it is. Really?
Mr. Bozeman, Mr. Braun.
They're starting to come
Mrs.
in.
Britt, Mr. Brown, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford,
Oh, wow.
Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Manchin, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Merkley, Mr. Moran, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Mr. Romney, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Ms. Sinema, Ms. Smith, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Vance, Mr. Warner,
So they can't do anything till they have a quorum.
Until they have, oh,
Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker,
White House.
Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young, Senators voting in the, Mr. Paul voted in the affirmative. Senators voting in the negative. Bennett, Cantwell, Cassidy, Collins, Fisher, Graham, Hyde-Smith, King, Markey, Padilla, Rounds, Schatz, Schumer, Sinema, Tillis, and Wyden. Mr. Tuberville, no. Mr. Risch, no. Mr. Crapo, no.
It is, did he say Creepo?
Mr. Langford,
What?
no.
Creepo?
Crapo.
He did say Creepo. What a name.
It's Crapo. C-R-E-P-O. You know, like crepe.
Crepe. Yes, crepe. Creepo. Okay. Sounds like Creepo.
No. Mr. Heinrich? No.
They have to have 51 senators in there for a quorum. But I'll tell you what, all their butts need to get in there.
So they're coming in and they're casting their vote?
Well, on the amendment, but not the bill. Adding Senator Paul Rand's amendment to the bill.
Okay.
Which probably won't pass because they want to go home.
Yeah. Wow.
Mr. Brown? No.
Wasn't crazy.
Wow.
I don't know, guys. I don't know when they're going to vote on this.
Okay, so I guess
you want to stay on the air.
I mean, it doesn't look.
I mean, yeah, I'm losing my voice. I can't talk for however long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we can just, the next time we can just come forth with the aftermath of it.
Right.
Along with what else is going to, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know what? We can do an update about it for the last, when we do a recap of the year and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. So that, reminds us that next Friday we're doing a recap of the whole year. So it's going to be a great show. This has been a roller coaster year for all of us. Been a lot of fun things and not so fun things. So, so join in with us and please like and subscribe our channels.
Yes.
I'll put that up here. And also on Rumble. I'm on Rumble at Faith and Freedom Talk.
Ooh. What happened? Okay, what did I do? Okay, there I go.
Yeah. So we appreciate you all. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Oh, that's right. The next time we're together, it'll be after Christmas. Yes.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yes. And it's, it is a real thing where people were like under that thing about if they should say Christmas, if they should say Happy Holidays. And when you take the initiative, it's almost like they're like, oh, yes, Merry Christmas, and whatnot. And so, yes.
Cancel culture is over.
Yes, at least for the next 4 years.
Yes. Praise God.
Yes.
Everyone,
but yes.
God bless.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We wish you and everyone and have a wonderful Christmas with your friends and family.
Yes.
We appreciate all of you. Until next Friday.
Yes. Until next time.
God bless.
Yes. Have a good night. Love you all. Thank you for joining.